now, you're tuned into RBLR, the home of Tampa Bay's RBLR Sports.
Hello and welcome to your RBLR Rays show. We're glad to have you along aboard for what promises to be a very interesting episode of the RBLR Rays show. I'm your host, Pat Davenport, and I am joined by Carter Brandley today. Unfortunately, Zach has declared he's in an official state of mourning, so we can't have him today. But we do have Carter, who is, like he is the best possible co-host we could have that isn't named Zach Dubb. So Carter, how are you feeling today?
I'm pretty good. Unfortunately, if we have any listeners that are cross-pollinating between the Rays and the Bucs show, the Bucs just took a pretty gnarly loss to the Panthers, so that's not great. But other than that, in terms of the Rays, I'm pretty excited to talk about some ball. Obviously, some big stuff happening this past week that we'll get to, and no one better to talk to about it than Mr. Pat Davenport yourself. So I'm excited to talk about some Rays baseball and about the next upcoming season, because it should be really interesting. It should be really fascinating.
Interesting is the word. Interesting is the word.
Yes.
To anyone that is joining us for the first time, welcome. I hope you enjoy. You might be new here because there is interest in the Rays right now after what was a very busy couple of days in Rays baseball. If you are not new here, then you already know that we're going to try and break down all of the stuff that's happened in Rays baseball over the past week to the best of our ability, try and keep a calm head. We're not here to try and peddle any particular narratives or anything like that. We're just trying to really objectively view things here as best we can. Of course, we're going to throw our opinions in there, but we try to be analytical, but also as fun as possible. Because you know that, be sure to drop us a like if you enjoy what you listen to today, and drop us a subscribe as well, because if you enjoy the episode, the best way to know when new episodes are dropping is to drop us a subscribe on YouTube or follow us on any of the RBLR social media, but we'll talk more on that later. I think we can't bury the lead any longer. Tristan Peters was traded to the Chicago White Sox.
No, man. And yeah. Munetaka Murakami going to the White Sox. Murakami, we're joking that Murakami saw Tristan Peters going to Chicago, and he said, "That's it. That's the ticket. You son of a gun. I'm in."
I mean, what more do you want on a team than Tristan Peters? He turned up. He put up negative 0.2 F4 for the Rays, and then dipped. So thank you for your service. We got some cash considerations for him. No, I'm being facetious, ladies and gentlemen. The Rays made a pair of trades on Friday that completely shook up the roster for the Tampa Bay Rays and how we view it going into next year. And I guess the one we'll talk about first is the one that broke first, which was a 3-team trade that broke on Friday evening, at least here in the UK. It must have been afternoon in the US. And that was Brandon Lowe, Jake Mangum, and Mason Montgomery all going to the Pittsburgh Pirates. And a piece went over to the Astros from Pittsburgh as well, a pitcher. But the Rays out of this get outfielder Jacob Melton and right-handed pitcher Anderson Brito from the Astros. They don't pick up any pieces from the Pirates in this trade. It took a minute for the pieces to be confirmed in this trade, especially with the way 3-team trades work. But once you kind of saw the pieces come together, Carter, what was your kind of initial reaction on this trade?
Initially, like right off the bat, I was like, "Oh, that's it." Like it was a bit of a little bit of a letdown, to be quite honest. Initial, like just purely like, dang, only 2 guys. Like the Houston Astros, their farm system's pretty empty at this point. So like top prospect in the Houston Astros farm system doesn't really carry nearly as much weight as I think people would like it to. But then you do a little bit more diving into it. You do a little bit more looking into it. And that Jacob Melton fella, he's got some upside. He's kind of fun. So I was pretty excited to see him come over. And obviously, like you mentioned, the lower level Anderson Brito fella signed out of Venezuela this past year. Definitely not going to expect him to come up anytime soon, really. But the Rays love to take those lottery pick selections, so perfectly fine with that. Milton is more of the headliner here. And, at first I was a little bit miffed. I was a little bit like, well, Brandon Lowe, like if you trade a guy like that, who's meant so much to this team and who's got such a big time power bat, can sort of anchor a lineup at times when he's hot. You're a little bit miffed, but then, I looked into Melton. His upside is really, really high with his pop. He can play defensive outfield pretty well. He's got good athletic ability. So, initially I was a little bit surprised that they didn't get more, but then the more I've read into it, the more I liked. So I think that, while it's disappointing to see a guy like Brandon Lowe exit, it's also really exciting to see a guy like Melton come in because, man, if things click, if he can fix his contact issues, which even maybe fix is too strong of a word for it, but just make it a little bit less egregious, a little bit less Carson Williams then man, he could really unlock something because it's fun to see, a guy with the left-handed swing like that. It's a little bit funky if you look at it, but it generates a lot of power. So that's kind of where I'm heads at with the deal after sitting with it for like a day or two.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Jacob Melton too. He ended up being Pipeline's number 2 prospect for the Astros.
Oh, number 2. I'm sorry. Yeah.
So, and he now falls into the Rays number 4 on Pipeline.
Right.
So he's a big deal. He's made his major league debut. He played a few games with the White Sox, 32 last year, and didn't do great. But it was only a month of a cup of coffee. But I think I agree with you that the tools are there. The guy is fast, really fast. Like you said, can play, I think, any of the 3 outfield spots.
Absolutely.
And the pop. You're right about the contact ability. I think he's an attempt to new Josh Lowe just dropped. Right?
Yes, I agree.
A younger, more athletic Josh Lowe just dropped. That's, I think, the plan. Because I think it's so clear that the Rays are not confident in their outfield group from last year. They hated their outfield group from last year because Johnny DeLuca and Josh Lowe are the only remaining members from the outfield group last year. And even then, I feel like Josh Lowe has Jake Fraley and now Jacob Melton like sitting on the back of him, waiting for him to mess up. So I think this is like a last ride for Josh Lowe, and Jacob Melton is right there. Jake Fraley, I guess, slots into like 4th outfielder role. Do you think Jacob Melton starts on the opening day roster?
That's a great question. That's a phenomenal question. I don't know. I think it depends. This is such a annoying cop-out answer, but it kind of depends on how he does in spring training, how he looks. Because like you said, the power is massive, like his quality of contact marks, exit velo, expected slugging, and all that stuff, just real red, if you like to talk about in terms of the Savant page. But then you look at his swing percentage and his contact percentage, and it's like, oh, okay, there's a little bit of work done to be done here. And it's one of those things that maybe work doesn't get done because, hey man, hitting the ball is really freaking hard. So it's tough, but I think that there's enough upside here to warrant them having traded Brandon Lowe, but I don't know if he'll be refined enough to make the opening day roster, especially with Jake Fraley and all the other guys that you mentioned, plus Chandler Simpson. We'll see what they want to do with him.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll get to that eventually too. And if he wants to move back to second, maybe to replace Brandon Lowe, I don't know. And they've also got the Vlade. I still can't pronounce his name, but
I think it's Vlade.
Vlade. See, 0 for 2. But I know they're pretty excited about him too. Otherwise, they wouldn't have gone out of their way to acquire him because he requires a 40-man roster spot. So so I don't know. That's a good question. I think in an ideal world, probably not. Because then that means that Vlad and Josh Lowe are healthy and playing well, and Johnny DeLuca's healthy and able to play center. So I think in an ideal world, probably not. But, you never know. Crazy things happen, injuries happen. So we'll have to see.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think assuming health and expected performance, we start the year with a Mullins, DeLuca, Lowe.
I didn't even mention Cedric Mullins. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think Mullins being on the money that he is,
right.
We'll get left field to start 100%. The season.
Yeah.
And then Lowe's in right field. I think but he's on fraud watch. Where right. If he doesn't get off to a good first 6 weeks,
it could be a short leash. Yeah. It could absolutely be a short leash.
And then DeLuca. And then Fraley kind of takes the 4th outfield spot. You're right about Chandler Simpson though. I didn't even consider him. because they've not yet made a clear replacement at second base for Brandon Lowe.
Right.
And Valade can play second base as well. He's done that. There's also Reynel Delgado, who they sent to a minor league deal. He can play middle infield. And then there's also the eternal swirling around Ketel Marte. The assumption around many people on social media was that the Rays are beefing up on prospects and shedding Brandon Lowe's salary to prepare for a Ketel Marte trade. But that hasn't happened yet. And there's no like definite signs that it will. If that happens, great. But I think it's nothing's gonna come soon. I don't think.
Yeah, it's tough because I think in order to get Ketel, they would probably have to give up at least Ryan Pepio and maybe another close to the majors starting pitcher specifically, because that's kind of seems to be what Arizona is gunning for, is like major league ready pitching. And the Rays just dealt some with Shane Baz. So, that's kind of a bit of a tough ask. Yeah, I don't know. And we haven't even talked about Richie Palacios either. Like Richie Palacios, kind of a forgotten man as well. Maybe they see him as kind of a temporary or long-term solution at second. I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of interesting ways they could go, and none of them are really super convincing one way or the other. So yeah, they've got a lot of question marks really across the board in terms of the outfield and second base. But they've got options. That's the good news.
They do have options, and this, like you said, there's so many ways they could go about it. And I guess it's also worth mentioning that Jake Mangum also departs the team.
Yes.
He was a really important piece to the 2025 Rays. We've talked about him before, and I know you're not his biggest fan.
I'm sorry. He's from Mississippi, and my mom's from Mississippi. I should be a bigger fan of him than I am. But yeah. Sorry, keep going.
Do you think that's a loss for the Rays, or do you think we'll not really feel a Jake Mangum departure?
With the signing of Cedric Mullins, I think it was kind of and them bringing in Jake Fraley, I think it was kind of a foregone conclusion a little bit. It was a little bit of a hey, like you've got a lot of like sort of quad A outfield types like that probably shouldn't be starting too much, and so yeah, he was fun at times last year. Puts the ball in play a lot, really fast, pretty good glove. So there are some positives of Jake Mangum, but man, he chases so much. He never walks, doesn't hit for any power. Like it's just he can be a fun watch, but he can also be an incredibly frustrating watch. Like it's sort of the exact opposite of the spectrum in terms of like the Carson Williams, like swinging and missing a lot, but when he does hit like it goes. And then Jake Mangum like swings and makes a lot of contact, but man, it doesn't go anywhere when he makes contact. So yeah, I don't know. I'm not super sad to see him go. Like you said, I wasn't his biggest fan, but yeah. Obviously, the Pirates will probably slot him in as a fourth outfield type, which is perfect. Like that's exactly where he needs to be. So it's exciting for him to get another opportunity at another spot. So we'll see. And
finally, Mason Montgomery. I feel like the Rays gave up fairly quickly on Montgomery, a guy that has absolutely outstanding stuff, doesn't always know where it's going, got hit pretty hard, struggled in 2025, but didn't feel like he was far away from being good. But the Rays have said enough is enough on that guy and shipped him off to Pittsburgh, which, is a good chance for him to get a few more reps in higher leverage, I suppose. 100%. But good move for him. Do you think that leaves the Rays bullpen a bit light?
No, pretty confidently no. Like you said, he has electric stuff, like just really, really, really fun velocity, some really good off-speed pitches. But man, he was just getting rocked last year. Like he gave up a lot of loud contact. And I know people probably like there are a lot of people that point to the ERA FIP discrepancy and say, oh, maybe he's due for a bounce back. Like I don't know if I entirely buy into that theory. Like there's maybe a kernel of truth in that, but like everything, it's kind of like, well, but yeah, I'm not super sad to see him go. I was like you, I was a little bit surprised that they gave up on him so soon, but at the same time, of all the things that I trust the Rays with, I think I trust the Rays with bullpen decisions the most, pitching in general, obviously. So if they were ready to move on from him, then I'm not really, who am I to argue about that kind of thing? So yeah, good luck to him in Pittsburgh. Like you said, he'll get a shot to get a lot more high leverage, high intensity moments. But I don't know. Yeah, I don't know that the Rays will miss him all that much, like you said.
Yeah, it's if the Rays can't fix your command, then it might be cooked, I think, because the Rays are so good at just bringing in guys that have like erratic control, and then they just like fix it through tweaks. Like Kyle Snyder's so good at that. And you could make an endless list of guys that came in that were like stuff, but threw it all over the place and then honed them in. But if the Rays can't fix your command, it might be cooked. I don't know. But it seemed like a lot to give up. I guess maybe the Rays really like, because Anderson Brito, I guess, because we haven't talked much about him. Like you said, signed out of Venezuela. He's now going to slot into number 6 on the Rays prospect list on Pipeline, but still in high A. He pitched in high A last year. Looked decent, walked quite a lot of guys, struck out a lot of guys. Still very young. A lottery ticket prospect, really.
Yeah, it's hard to say much definitively about him. Like Fangraphs has him as having a pretty good fastball slider combination. But that pitching, like I think the phrase is there's no such thing as a pitching prospect. I don't know. That's a bit extreme, but also like I also get that. I don't know. It's still far too early to really say anything definitive, but it's fun to get, like you said, get that lottery ticket type of prospect, see what he can turn into for sure.
Yeah, currently a starter, but many people believe that he might end up as a reliever by the time he gets to the big leagues. Especially if like the fastball slider is his main combo. Like you can work with that, but you need a third pitch that's like above average to be a starter. Usually you can't just run on 2 pitches. So we'll see on that. I guess we should finally talk about Brandon Lowe, what he meant to the team as well. Because he was a really important Ray. He was the longest tenured active Ray. If you're on the major league team anyway. And he's departed after 7 years and change with the team. If you look at like all-time games played with the team, he's in the top 10. If you look at all-time WAR with the team, he's in the top 10, third in home runs. He proved to be an all-time great Ray, the best second baseman. We definitely can agree. The best, well, I guess that depends on how you class Ben Zobrist, but the best full-time second baseman in Rays history, but yet never quite was accepted as a good player among the fan base. Do you think history will look back kindly on Brandon Lowe's tenure with the Rays?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, people were pretty harsh on him, and sometimes rightfully so. Like his defense was always pretty suspect, and this past season it kind of cratered, and he wasn't great. But at the same time, he was such a great hitter that at times it really didn't matter. Like it didn't matter what he was doing defensively. And the health thing was kind of always a concern. He struggled to stay on the field at some points, but yeah, I think looking back, I think it'll be a lot easier to say, man, he was really good. He was really good when he was on the field. By far, like you said, one of the best Rays full-time second baseman. Can't really think of anyone better. And really an interesting player, kind of a polarizing player almost, like kind of loved and hated by Rays fans across the board, kind of a do you know ball test, if you will. If you really hate Brandon Lowe, then like, all right, like maybe chill. Like I didn't love the way I didn't love the aesthetics of what he did, because he was very, high strikeout and he could be very hot and cold type of thing. But in terms of like, is he a good player? Like, no, obviously I think that's a resounding yes. Like he was really phenomenal when he was right. So he could be a bit polarizing in terms of Rays fans, but I think that good luck to him in Pittsburgh, man. Like really hope that he can help turn things around there, because the Pittsburgh Pirates have just been so bad for so long. And like, I still don't really have faith that they'll be any good this year, but if Brandon Lowe can contribute to them being good, that'd be kind of a cool story. So we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, I think the Rays, if you look from 2019 to 2025, Brandon Lowe among second basemen was third in WRC plus.
Yeah.
Behind only Jose Altuve and Ketel Marte. And, Jose Altuve is a Hall of Fame quality second baseman, right? Like potentially.
Yeah.
And Ketel Marte is regarded as the best hitting second baseman in the spot. So like he's up there with those guys. And I agree that the cold streaks were brutal, and I think his defense does let him down in terms of like his all-time WAR totals or whatever. Sure. But yeah, I strongly believe that if Brandon Lowe had the same tenure with the same numbers on the New York Yankees, they'd consider retiring his number.
Wow, that's a bold take. That's a bold take. I don't know if I could go quite that far, but man, that is interesting. That is interesting. I'd be interested to see if he'll end up in the Rays like Hall of Fame kind of thing. I think he's pretty easy, like not first ballot, because I don't know the voting process for the Rays Hall of Fame, but I think he's pretty comfortably in that discussion, that conversation. But retiring his number, that'd be interesting. Because yeah, he was like in Yankee Stadium, especially like with that little short porch, like, you know, like how much damage do. But yeah, I don't know. That's an interesting take. They
retired Paul O'Neill's number.
Right. That's a good point. Like Paul O'Neill, like good player, but was, you know, not all-time great or anything. I don't know what I struggled with Brandon Lowe, especially too. Like, I don't know if you ever felt this way, but it sometimes felt like he was slouching off the field. Like he just looked like he looked depressed sometimes when he got struck out or when he would ground out or whatever. And I think that also contributed maybe to like the skewed perception of him from Rays fans, was that like when he was down, like you could just see it. Like you could just like read it on his face. Like he looked like he wanted it to be anywhere but the batter's box. Like he was just so, I don't know, out of it. So, but yeah, I don't know. That's an interesting take. Like he was really, really good. So, you know,
I think you've raised an interesting point about his personality, because he's quite a quiet guy.
Very quiet. Yeah. Super.
Yeah. Not a big character at all. Kind of he'll hit his home run and then he'll put his head down and just run. Right. He wasn't a Randy or anything like that.
For sure. But which is perfectly fine. Perfectly respectable.
Which is perfectly fine. I guess like something that I wanted, and maybe this is an unfair ask, something that he never felt like a leader on the team.
That's a good point. Yeah.
And for a guy that was there 7 years, which is a long time, once Kevin Kiermaier left, there was kind of a void in who like the captain of the team was,
and he never
at least from
no.
I think Yandy kind of has that now,
right? Yeah,
but because I know Yandy would, you know, sit players down occasionally and be like, "Hey man, that's not how we do things." Yeah, and would get quite confrontational with players if he didn't feel like they were doing the right thing. Brandon Lowe, not that type of guy, and that's fine. Yeah. But I guess there were times where I wish the Rays had a veteran leader in there. And I was hoping Brandon Lowe would be able to provide that at times, and he never quite did. Yeah. But an all-time great Ray, for sure. I think the Rays traded him at the right time, though. I think we might have seen Brandon Lowe's last good year already. Because we talked about it coming like midway through the season. There were loads of like red flags in his performance. Like he still had a good season last year, but there were loads of like under the hood things that felt a bit like unsustainable, like his bat speed kind of dropping off a cliff. And,
right. Yeah.
His walk rate was down, and he wasn't quite coping with velocity. Like he saw the most pitches in the zone that he's ever seen. So like that fear factor that he used to have didn't really exist, is starting to like disappear now. There's lots of worrying signs about Brandon Lowe getting worse. I think he can still be a productive baseball player, but like whether he's still like a 120 WRC plus guy, I'm not sure.
Yeah, no, that's a great point, man. Like, did they kind of jump ship at maybe, I don't want to say too late, but like they definitely didn't get like peak Brandon Lowe value for him, which is understandable because like they were trying to compete for the past 2 seasons, like not trying to cast this as a negative thing for the Rays front office by any means. But yeah, I do wonder, like, had they traded him like 2 or 3 years ago, like I do think that the return is probably very different. We're probably having a very different conversation. The contract plays into that as well, because obviously he's on a much, not nearly as many years of control left on his deal as they were a few years ago. So that's a completely separate conversation. But yeah, in terms of his best years, they're definitely, I mean, it's easy to say that because he's getting older, right? Like, and no, Father Time comes for us all. And, it like you said, it started to show a little bit last year with the bat speed and the walk rate and all that stuff. So there's definitely signs of decline for sure. I'm hopeful though that he can take advantage. Like the PNC Park is generally a pretty decent spot for left-handed hitters, so hopefully he can take advantage of that as well. I know park factor can kind of be like a go-to thing for a lot of people. I don't know how much of a difference it actually makes, but I'd like to think that Brandon Lowe can play a little bit better in Pittsburgh. Hopefully
he does well. I wish him nothing but the best. He was nothing but a class act for the Rays. Like, while his leadership qualities might be missing, I think he always stood by the team. He always spoke positively of the team, I think. And he was a key player in that run of success that we had in the early 2020s. That was like, he was the guy, one of those guys. Evening trade is the new early game discourse. Thank you, Ryan O'Toole, for that. And then Bilal getting traded at just the right time. Strong agree. Appreciate the nuanced take on him. Thank you, Jake. It's Carter's mom.
Yeah. Shout out my
Thanks,
mom.
Carter's mom.
Thanks, Carter's mom.
And you know what? I'm glad she agrees. She's a ball knower.
There you go.
So we're gonna finish with, like, I guess, do you even want to grade this trade? Do you want to do the kind of thing that everyone does and grade this trade, or do you want to kind of go, well?
I mean, like, it's hard to grade trades like right after they happen, especially in the off season. I'd probably, like, if I had to give it a grade, I'd probably just give it like a B, because like it's fine, like it wasn't it wasn't. I
think it's interesting because lots of people on Twitter were saying like Rays fleeced, right? Like people were going, "Whoa, the Rays were fleeced there," and like were super high on Brandon Lowe. So
right.
I think the Pirates are better now. Like on opening day 2026, I think they're a better team
100%
for what they've done. And I think the Rays, as of today, might be. I don't think they're a better team because of the trade as of today. Yeah. So, but if Jacob Melton puts together his potential, then we could be really looking at this trade very, very differently.
Yeah. And I think what people have to keep in mind, and we can talk about this with the Shane Baz deal too, is that this team like played last year and the year before, and they had Brandon Lowe and they weren't very good. They missed the playoffs. So, like we can kind of fool ourselves into thinking that Vlad or whoever else that Cedric Mullins, like all these guys they bring in, all these guys will make the difference. And like, random variation, maybe the Rays can ride this to the playoffs. Well, maybe, but like at the same time, if they can get a guy like Melton to come in and, make a difference, not just now, but long-term, then I think it's worth it. So, I don't know. I'm not gonna grab the pitchforks over trading Brandon Lowe at this point in his career because this is a very different Brandon Lowe than previous seasons. So it's fine. It's nothing to get too worked up over.
The upside from this is we won't have to see the MLB trade rumors going Rays fielding offers on Brandon Lowe every month between now and the end of time.
Right.
Yandy Diaz, unfortunately, you're still on the clock, buddy. The Rays will be fielding offers on you between now and the end of the universe. But
I mean, the Rays are fielding offers on us. They're fielding offers on RBLR. They're like, hey, like we'll trade you RBLR for an 18-year-old shortstop prospect that hasn't actually played a game of organized baseball before. But that's it's the Rays way. They're always talking about everyone.
Exactly. But I'll tell you a trade that I would make 100 times out of 100. And that is trading some cash considerations for a piece of merchandise at shop.rblrsports.com. I think they offer the best Tampa Bay sports team merchandise on the market, 100%. Whether it's your Rowdies, your Bucks, your Lightning, your Rays, your Sun, they're all there at shop.rblrsports.com. And if you use the promo code FLAPPY, you can get 10% off. If you hurry, you might even be able to get it there in time for Christmas. Buy your favorite person a piece of RBLR Sports merchandise at shop.rblrsports.com using promo code FLAPPY for 10% off. The Rays, immediately after It felt like, what was it, like an hour after trading Brandon Lowe?
Super short turnaround.
Yeah, immediately turned around with a second trade. And this one was a much different looking trade. It was with the Orioles, so it was interdivision, and they traded Shane Baz to the Orioles for a package, and I mean a package of prospects. They acquired catcher Caden Bodine, outfielder Slater DeBrun, right-handed pitcher Michael Ferret, and outfielder Austin Overn, as well as the 33rd pick in the 2026 draft. Wow, that felt like a lot for a guy with a over 5 ERA in 2025.
Right. Yeah. I love Shane Baz. I think that his upside is similar to Melton's in that, like, if things go right, like he could be a really good pitcher, like one of the best pitchers that the Orioles might employ this upcoming season. But if you're the Rays and you get offered this much for a guy that's as volatile as Shane Baz, both with injury and performance, like, yeah, you pull the trigger on this. I can pretty resoundingly give this grade like an A+, like pretty much right off the bat. The process is really good here, like getting this type of return, because then it's versatile. Like you can flip either these prospects or prospects that maybe you're more comfortable dealing for a Ketel Marte or a better player. And even if they don't, then they just have some really, really good prospects in their farm system that can continue to move through their system and hopefully play a big role in years to come. So it's frustrating in one sense, because it does make like with the Brandon Lowe trade, it makes them worse this season. Losing Shane Baz does make their pitching staff thinner, without a doubt. But long term, it makes them so much better. It makes them their farm system even that much better, that it's definitely worth it in that sense. But I get fans' frustrations because like Shane Baz was like part of the Chris Archer return, and it's another just kind of notch in the belt of like the Rays churn of players. Like you're just like trading constantly for this future that seemingly never comes. But that's the nature of how they do things. That's what they have to do with their self-imposed payroll restrictions. So this is just what they're going to continue to do. I think if you're Eric Neander, you had to do this deal because you just don't get returns like this too often. Because Shane Baz could re-injure himself and then his value just goes tank, and then you're like, well, darn, So I really love this deal. I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah, I think even some contending teams might make this deal.
Yeah, no, 100%, absolutely.
Yeah, and I think we'll talk about the prospects in a second. But when you look at like earlier in the offseason, the Orioles traded Grayson Rodriguez for Taylor Ward 1-1, and Taylor Ward has 1 year left, right? Is it 1 year left on his deal? Mm-hmm. So Grayson Rodriguez is worth 1 year of Taylor Ward. And people were going, I'm seeing Orioles fans now posting online that like Shane Baz is like a more reliable Grayson Rodriguez. Do you think he's that much better than Grayson Rodriguez?
I do. I do think that I think that what we as a collective, myself included, might struggle with is we don't know these guys' medicals. Grayson Rodriguez's arm has just been a huge area of concern. I think at this point, like if you got anything for Grayson Rodriguez, it might have been a good thing. So I think that the general public might not have as greater an understanding of what Grayson Rodriguez can even do moving forward. Like, is he even a starter moving forward? Like, can he handle that type of workload? I don't know. Shane Baz, we can at least comfortably say that he could potentially handle that workload because he did it last year. Was he super effective? Maybe not, but he was also pitching at George Steinbrenner. So I think that the Orioles view this as like, hey, we got Taylor Ward for Grayson Rodriguez. So we're going to replace Grayson Rodriguez's spot in the rotation with another potentially volatile and slight health concerns guy, but definitely a more solidified ground type of Grayson Rodriguez. I do think that the gap there is a bit substantial and wider than I think we can appreciate. But I don't know. I'm also not a big Michael Elias fan. So like, if this doesn't work out, then awesome. Like I hate the Orioles. They're a bunch of jerks. So like that's I also am perfectly cool with people, taking a dump on any Michael Elias decision.
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? Because Shane Baz was so good in 2024. Like when he came up, he pitched 14 games, was so effective. Last year, I was being harsh. He didn't have an ERA above 5, but it was close to 5. It was 4.87.
It was close enough.
But he did pitch 166 innings, which is like a full starter's workload. He started 31 games, which he had the workload. And like you said, the stuff is there, but he was getting hit hard and he had a fairly high walk rate. You could see a world where Shane Baz pitches really well next year. You absolutely could. But I don't also think it's a slam dunk.
Oh, not at all. Yeah, not at all. Yeah, the volatility is huge. But
will he listen? Will he listen?
Everywhere. Yeah.
When the Orioles tell him not to throw his slider or cutter.
Yeah, I don't know. The Orioles they've got their own little pitching dev, little laboratory thing going. Like they did a great job with Trevor Rogers.
Yeah, Trevor Rogers. Yeah.
Too. Trevor Rogers and Kyle Bradish have both been pretty wild success stories for them. So, there is very much a world where Shane Baz unlocks something in Baltimore because they seem to have a decent enough grasp on starting pitching. I don't know. I do think that like you said, there's very much a world where Shane Baz is a potential all-star. Like at the beginning of last year, I thought he was maybe on track to be an all-star. Obviously the cliff came fast and hard for him, but he got off to that rocket start and he could turn that into a whole season's worth of performance. Maybe the Orioles view him as like, hey, maybe we crank him down to like 140, 150 inning range, but we get a lot more effective innings rather than pushing him towards 165, 170 like the Rays did this past year. So I don't know. There's a lot that they can do with this trade. I like it. I really like it for the Rays. Don't get me wrong, but I also see the logic behind it for the Orioles as well.
Yeah. 3 years left of team control for Baz, which feels crazy because it feels like we hardly knew him.
Right.
Like we got him in the Chris Archer trade, and then every time he seemed like he was on the verge of something, he'd get hurt. Yeah. And we only got one full season of him, which is crazy.
I know.
But yeah, the Chris Archer / Delman Young trade tree continues to grow. This time by multiple branches. In this one, I'm trying to think. Are there any branches still on the major league team? Johnny DeLuca. Yeah,
Ryan Pepio is still on there.
And Ryan Pepio's still there. I've already mentally wrote him off to the Diamondbacks.
Right, yeah. I'm trying to think. Ty Johnson is still puttering around in the minors because he was part of the Paredes return. And, Paredes is, just you can drive yourself crazy with it. But, so Ty Johnson, not in the majors, obviously. So Ty Johnson, Pepio, DeLuca, and then all of these guys are still part of that Delman Young trade tree. I feel like we might be forgetting some other people, but those are the names that come to mind first. But definitely still a chance. What's that?
Yeah, Ty Johnson might save the Isaac Paredes trade.
Yes, I hope so. Because man, it's not great. Morel, good gracious. I hope Morel really balls out in Miami. Like that would be such a cool redemption thing for him because man, his power is just it's unlimited. Like he hits the crap out of the ball, but man, he just never hits the freaking ball. It's tough.
Hyped quadruple A Rays power hitters do well in Miami. Look at Jesus Sanchez.
That's true. Yeah, Sanchez had himself a nice little start with Miami.
Ryan O'Toole kindly reminded me Hunter Biggie.
Oh yes, Hunter Biggie. Hopefully he can bounce back from the scary injury last year on the dugout. Like, good gracious. I was there for that game and that was freaky. That was like, oh shoot. Is this guy all right? But knock on wood, from everything that I've heard, he seems to be doing all right and is hopefully on track to be on the team opening day, which would be great. Cause losing Montgomery, it hurts, and losing Fairbanks hurts, but they have so many really talented young relievers coming through the pipeline, and Biggie's one of them. So hopefully he can bounce back and maybe save a little bit of the Paredes deal as well.
Yeah. So in terms of the return, was the one that you were like, whoa, or do you want me to just kind of go through him?
No, I was real surprised that Caden Brodine was opened or was involved in that deal. What the Orioles were open to trading him because he was their one of their first round picks, and he's real interesting. I really switch hitters. I've got a soft spot in my heart for him, and real hit tool first kind of guy. A bit on the smaller side, only 5'10", so his body's a bit interesting, but I think he provides a lot of upside behind the plate. And that outfielder De Bruyne, he was used with the Brian Baker pick that the Orioles got from the Rays. So it was kind of funny, full circle moment type of thing there. Those two were obviously, I think, the highlights for me. But feel free to get into the other aspects, because I know the draft pick was fun too. Like, always trading for a draft pick is kind of cool.
Right. Yeah. So I agree with Caden Bodine, because maybe MLB The Show spoiled me on this. Someone else in the RBLR group chat also put this, being like, Caden Bodine, he went crazy on the show. His draft
He did indeed.
Yeah. Makes me feel like he's the second coming of Adley Rutschman.
Heck yeah. That's what's up.
I mean, Orioles drafted a catcher who's a switch hitter, good hit tool. This feels very Adley Rutschman-esque. Yeah.
There you go.
Obviously not quite the pedigree of Adley Rutschman, because when Rutschman was drafted, it was number 1, wasn't it?
And he was like out of Oregon State, and he was considered like slam dunk, like 1-1. Brodine was great, was solid at Coastal Carolina, but definitely not nearly, like you said. Rutschman was like the best player in college, coming out of college, so it was definitely varying degrees there. But hey, the parallels, if you squint hard enough, like you can see the narrative similarities for sure.
I think he might end up. People say that he might be a better fielder than Adley.
Yeah, I don't know. That's interesting. I mean, with the ABS coming down the pipeline, catcher defense is just going to be so much different, I feel like, by the time he gets here. I don't know what to make of his defense. So that'll be something interesting to monitor for sure. Yeah,
they started him in single A last year, but he only played 11 games. He did all right, though. So I guess maybe the Rays will start him in single A too, see where he goes. Get a full season under his belt. I love getting a potential catcher of the future. Like, he could be a potential catcher of the future, right? And the Rays don't have many of those coming up, right? Like, where you're like, ooh, this guy could actually be a solid major league.
It's pretty much like Dominic Keegan is pretty good, but after that it gets a little thin. And if Keegan is as good as he is, then he'll be there until Bodine comes up, and then the Rays will flip Keegan for more assets, and that'll be how it goes. So hopefully that would be like best case scenario, obviously, is that it's just a cycle. That would be really cool. But like you said, the cupboard was a little bit more bare at catcher than at other positions for sure.
Yeah. Austin Overn, a guy that's he was in AA for the Orioles last year. Good fielder, fast runner, good at drawing walks. Had a good walk rate last year. Could be a solid major league outfielder. We'll see. Slated De Bruyne, he was the Brian Baker pick.
Yes.
I mean, he's kind of graded out as like a decent hit tool, decent runner, decent fielder. Nothing like crazy. Again, like could be and
he's so young. He was just drafted out of high school. It's really hard to project those types of guys. So he should be interesting, but like it's going to be like 3, 4, maybe 5 years until we even know what he's going to be. So very much an incomplete on that part of the trade, but high upside, like you said, selected where he was for a good reason. High schoolers that are selected there are at least the general sense that I get of those types of picks is that like those are maybe guys that should be picked a little bit earlier, but they're high schoolers, so they have to be paid a little bit more, so they're picked there for that reason. So I really like that the Rays got him in this deal. I thought that was a really interesting addition.
Yeah, and then one that I didn't know about but made me raise my eyebrows when I looked at how he's been performing is Michael Foret.
Yeah,
he's been outstanding in the Orioles minor league system in his past 2 seasons. He was drafted in 2023, and in 2025, in admittedly only 18 starts, so like half a season's worth between high A and double A, he pitched to a 1.70 ERA, which is like
pretty
really impressive.
Pretty tough.
Yeah, 91 strikeouts.
He's also a Bradenton product. He went to State College of Florida, just down the road, so that's kind of cool too. Like you said, you don't post numbers like that without being pretty darn impressive. And good off speed, like his slider and curveball are pretty well graded, pretty well regarded, it seems like. So some good breaking stuff, and Yeah, I don't know. I was real impressed by that addition as well because he's a bit higher up. He's closer to being major league ready than I think the rest of these guys are for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I would be. Pipeline says he'll debut. He could be his ETA is 2026. I don't believe that.
Right.
I think he only made a handful of starts in AA, like in the second half last year. So I think he'll probably start the season in AA and jump to AAA if he does well. I guess he could make an emergency appearance if like we're really thin on pitching for a minute. But I think 2027 though he could have a shot at the rotation, which is exciting.
Yeah.
And then of course a pretty high pick in the draft at number 33.
Indeed. Yeah. I mean, drafting him out of community college is really interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I'm really impressed by the return here. Like I can't emphasize enough. They did a really good job of getting. I think like you kind of make jokes like quantity over quality type of thing with the Rays sometimes. Like they kind of take the shotgun approach. Like, hey, if we just take a bunch of flyers on guys, like one of them has to work out. But this is also some quality here too. Like I think that there's some genuine upside with a lot of these prospects for sure.
And I think the Orioles have a precedent for drafting quite well.
Indeed.
And to basically just poach their 2025 draft class.
Right. Yeah.
Is very interesting, I think, to take guys that have only just so recently been drafted. Is an interesting approach as well. But I think it's because the Rays are getting a bit sick of this 40-man crunch that they're having to deal with. So they're tooling up on prospects on the lower end of the spectrum. But they really like to have a mix of prospects all the way across the system as well. They don't like to have all of their guys come up at the same time. They like to have waves. And this is like loading up a wave 3 years down the line.
Yeah. 100%.
So it'll be interesting to see how many of those guys do play out. But yeah, I'm with you. I love the return for Shane Baz. I think it's a really good trade. I was really happy with it. Maybe some of those guys get flipped. I don't know.
Who knows?
But
yeah. We talking about all these guys, and then after we close off the show, then Ketel Marte to the Rays, and we have to say bye to the switch hitting catcher and all these fun prospects. But yeah, I don't know. Even if they don't do that, even if they don't end up flipping any of these guys or all of these guys for an upgrade at the major league level, I'm still pleased with the with the return and with the future investment that they're making in this team. Because hopefully, the new stadium maybe theoretically gets built, and maybe by the time these guys get up here, they're, playing in new digs, either on this side of the bay or still in St. Pete, whatever the case may be. There's stuff to be excited about for this deal, even though it does feel like a bummer because, like we keep saying, Shane Baz could have been, he could be really good this year. So it is a hit to the Major League Ball Club for sure. But, the future investment is large enough to where I think it justifies it.
Yeah, 100%. I would also take this deal. I guess the only thing that's for me now is we freed up $16 million of payroll space, right? I think this should be reinvested in the team, but I don't, unless it's Ketel Marte, there isn't really an obvious we should go spend $16 million on this guy.
Yeah.
Unless they want to go get a innings eater to replace Baz's spot in the rotation.
Sure. I mean, that wouldn't be the worst thing. Like there's still, plenty of starting pitching out there. They could go into the international market. There are a few guys that have been posted in that regard too, if they're interested. There's still definitely, and the offseason is still so young. Like we haven't even hit 2026 yet. And the Rays are always known to be, wheeling and dealing and making moves. So like you said, it's another Rays move where it makes a lot about baseball logic that also just so happens to save them some money too. And that's the most frustrating part of it for me, but it works out sometimes like this, and that's just how it be. You just got to deal with it. But it gives them the flexibility to maybe do this while not also just spending it just to spend it. They're not going to just do that, obviously. So we'll see. I don't know. Like you said, there's not really a whole lot out there that springs to mind other than Marte and maybe some pitching. But other than that, I don't know that there's an immediate solution to that budget surplus, if you will.
Yeah. I was thinking about the rotation as well. I was like, right, Shane Baz is gone. How light are we feeling on the rotation? Currently, I've got it projected as Pepio, Rasmussen, Mats, and then Ian Seymour, Shane McClanahan.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine. If that's the 5 that they want to roll out there, it's definitely, it's definitely not nearly as talented. I don't know that the upside is quite as high when you have Shane Baz in there. But I really like Ian Seymour. I hope he's given some runway this season. I think that he could do a really outstanding job. He showed some real flashes last year at the major league level, even pitching at pitching at Steinbrenner, like he was still really good. And they seem to think that Mats could be really good. Mats. And, he pitched a lot in the bullpen last year for Boston. So, excuse me, he can be a bit of a swingman too. I mean, Shane McClanahan, I don't know. I think the Shane Baz trade sort of gave me a little bit more confidence that Shane McClanahan could pitch pretty consistently this year. I don't know. I was real nervous about his status going into this season just because it's been like so long since we've seen him pitch on a mound. So I don't know. I'm not like jazzed about this rotation, but I'm also like, it's the Rays, like they always figure it out. So, the rotation is not the least of the concern, but it's definitely not nearly as concerning as still a lot of the question marks in the lineup.
Yeah. It just means that if we do want to entertain a Pepio move, it suddenly feels very light on like definite innings, right? There's no like inning eaters in that rotation. Like Rasmussen's amazing, but he's not an innings eater.
Right. Definitely more of a 5 and dive type of fella. Yeah.
Yeah. And McClanahan will be on a limit 100%.
Right.
Mats is a transitioning out of the bullpen again, even though he was a starter. He was a full-time reliever last year. Ian Seymour probably could put you some up innings, but again, he's young. You don't know what you're going to get from him. And then if Pepio goes, it's probably Joe Boyle that takes his spot in the rotation.
Yeah.
Who again, like I like Joe Boyle. Yeah, I like Joe Boyle, but I'm not banking 150 innings on Joe Boyle.
Right.
So it's tough. I guess you could trade Pepio and then sign a good pitcher. Like that's the thing you could do.
I think that would be perfectly understandable. Even if they didn't trade Pepio, like bringing in maybe another starter would be, you think we like the Ocean's 11, you think we need one more, like, oh, we need one more, like, all right, let's get one more. You kind of have that. I think every team probably should have that mentality about pitching. Like, you could always use another arm. You could always use another guy. So I don't know. I'm not freaking out about it or anything like that, but it's also like, it's definitely one of those, if they did trade Pepio, like it would be a bit more white knuckly, but if they're trading Pepio, it's probably for Ketel Marte. So, that kind of brings one problem up, but it definitely solves another one. So I don't know. It's definitely going to be an interesting thing to start monitor moving forward.
100%. I'm trying to have a quick peek at starting pitchers on the market that could be like inning eaters. Chris Bassett is a free agent.
Oof.
Don't know. Yeah.
Hard pass. I mean, no, he's fine. Like he would be fine if the Rays felt confident bringing him in. Then he would be fine. But oh man, yeah. If that's where we're starting.
So this is we got Framber Valdez. Did he take the qualifying offer?
No, he's going to be so expensive. Yeah, and with the qualifying offer, he's no.
I mean, you got Zach Eflin. I don't want Zach Eflin back.
Yeah, no.
Nope. Frankie Montas. It's not good.
Yeah, just so many injury concerns with him. Like, can he actually stay on the field?
Yeah, Nestor Cortez.
Oh, yeah.
Nasty Nestor.
Cool.
John Means, if you want to take a flyer on him. Well, he's injured now, isn't he?
Right. Yeah, that's right. He just posted on Instagram. He was like, I just screwed up. I forget if it was his hand or his wrist or I don't know. But yeah, it's not looking great for him, unfortunately.
Marcus Stroman reclamation project.
Oh, yeah, no. I think Stroman would be like kind of a wild one, but he would be cheap as heck. Like he would not cost anything. So I guess, that would be the one positive for him.
Yeah, so it's not great out there, I guess, because Adrian Houser's off the market now. Zach Littell.
I like Littell. I love Littell.
Yeah, I love Littell. Bring back Zach Littell, and we'll consider it an A+ off season.
Heck yeah, that's right. That's what's up. That's what's up. Bring back Littell 2026. Hell yeah.
Yeah. So that's going to do it for today's show. Unless you have any other thoughts that you're desperate to get off your mind.
No, man, let's get out of here. I've taken up 57 minutes of your time. I know you're on overseas time, so I feel bad. Probably burning the midnight oil type thing.
I got no work tomorrow because it's Christmas break. Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Holiday
break, you want to call it.
Holiday break.
That's right.
Holiday break. So that's going to do it for the RBLR Rays show. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening. We really appreciate your time. And I hope you enjoyed what you listened to. If you did, be sure to drop a like wherever you listen to this from, whether it was on Twitter, X, YouTube, wherever you listen to this from. Drop it a like, drop it a repost if you can as well. And drop us a subscribe or a follow if you want to be here for more episodes. Otherwise, we'll be back every single week, continue to break down whatever else is happening in this busy, crazy Rays world. And until then, it's Rays up.
Rays up.
Thank you for tuning into this presentation by RBLR Sports. On your way out of the stadium, please remember to like and subscribe.